Hi folks, welcome to Patrick Parson Workshop. Hey Jimmy, this week we're going to create a sofa arm table, and we also found a way to round up all those remotes that we have laying around. That's right, and we also found that if we include the word hack in the title of this video, we get like 1 billion views. So the first thing we did is cut a strip of the oak to the same width as the ambrosia maple, and then we glued the oak strip to the ambrosia maple blank. And then we clamp that up and wait for it to dry. And once it's completely dry, I send it through the planer on all 4 sides. I want to cut the glued up maple and oak stock into 4 equal sized pieces. To do that, I have to account for the width of the blade. The width of the blade is called the kerf. The kerf of this blade is 1/8 of an inch, so I account for that when I'm making my layout lines on the stock. This clip is sped up quite a bit. You have to cut very slowly when you have a piece of thick stock of a hardwood like maple or oak. All of the strips will be the exact same length. After about a day of being out in my garage, I noticed that these strips were all starting to cup. So I thought it might be good to soak these strips in wood stabilizer, penacryl, and I did that for about a day. I want to make sure that all of these strips are exactly the same width. So I'm checking with my caliper which strips are too wide so I can send those through the jointer. So I send each strip through the jointer on each edge, only taking off about 1/64 of an inch. And the strips that are still a little bit too wide, I just send them through the jointer again a few times until they're the right width. And I wind up with 12 of these panels. So here I take 4 of those panels and I'm going to glue those together edge to edge. I want them to be staggered because of the way that the panels will join to each other. I'm using oak for the sides and the bottom of the compartment where the remotes will go, so I'm cutting that to length and width. For the outside of the compartment where the remotes go, I decided to use jean material instead of wood. The back of a pair of jeans has 2 seams that are already there that I want to go ahead and use, so I cut the jeans accordingly, knowing that I'll have to make 2 seams along the other 2 edges myself. And with some help from my wife, I sewed the other 2 edges of the jeans where there weren't seams. About a day after gluing all of my panels up, I realized I had some larger cupping problems. So I tried some different things, some experiments to try to get the cup out of these panels. I flattened all 3 of the panels out with some weights, and then I applied shellac to both sides of one of the panels. The panel that I shellacked is there on the left, and the untreated panel is on the right. After a couple hours, I came back and saw that the cupping was basically the same on the shellac-treated panel and the untreated panel. So the next technique that I tried to try to remove the cup was to apply heat from a heat gun to the cupped side, to the convex side of the panel. This eventually worked, but it wasn't perfect and I never got the panels perfectly flat. With the oak pieces glued and clamped onto the side, I make some marks where I'll drill some pilot holes along the sides and bottom of the oak pieces to attach the jean pocket. After all the pilot holes are drilled, I make some holes in the jean fabric with a pick to accommodate the screws that I'll use to attach it. And then I glue and clamp the side to the top panel. I use the router to cut a couple of rabbet joints into the oak edge piece so I can join it to the top panel. So I've got 3 panels that were exactly like this, but these panels really cupped so badly that it was all I could do to get these 2 panels straight enough to join. But I got these 2 joined reasonably well and got them glued up, but this one really wasn't straight enough to do anything with. So instead of attaching this one here, I attached these, which this is an oak dowel that I've just cut in half and attached, and I attached it to this piece of oak here at the end with just a small little dowel. That's kind of the big issue that I had, was the cupping of this, and it caused some big problems, and I had to do a lot of work to get those straight. This piece, which is a jean pocket, I was going to do that out of just oak. I was just going to have an oak piece that sat in here where the jean is, and then I thought that might be a little boring, and also, what if I get a channel changer that's a little bit too thick to fit in here with the oak piece, but it allows me to put something a little bit bigger in here if I have something. Also, I have this pocket here on the outside that I can put something into. Also, these decorative screws, brass screws and brass finish washers are just neat looking. And I finished it with 6 coats of minwax clear aerosol lacquer. Well, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
Wood cupping
Kind of a tough one.
back and forth, and kind of a mess, but it turned out pretty nice. It's plenty big enough to set these
Oh yeah.
coffee cups on with our
cups.
hot cocoa, right?
More cups than a shelf at Starbucks.
Turned out good.
Right? Yeah, it was bigger cups than Dolly Parton's bra, right? Yeah, there's more cups than a cup factory. There's a lot of cups.
He likes to be under the cover too. He likes it if I just cover
There's
him.
more cups than your cabinet
kind
in
of
there
burrows down in.
where you keep the cups.
Down in here.
There's a lot of cups.
It's a cozy day for that.
In the wood though. Different kind of cups. Kind of funny though, right?